just get the slides up. Right, okay, so task 5, our final task. So there are 3 things that we need to do here. We are writing a report entitled Methods for Monitoring, Reporting and Closing a Project. So it's really going through the whole life cycle on this. So the first thing that we need to do is look at ways in which we can evaluate how the project's progressing as it goes along. So that's the first thing that we're going to look at. Each of these, I think, they tend to be about 400 words, don't they? It should be, because I amended the slides as I was presenting them, as I was prepping it. 350 words for each of these, so it's a couple of paragraphs for each one. So let's start off by the material on monitoring project outcomes. As I say, when Tom joins us, I will just hand over to him, and then I'll finish, depending on how long he takes, either straight after or we'll have a little break and then I'll finish. So in terms of like this context here, in terms of what, you know, why you need to monitor projects, in terms of how you do it on the projects that you're managing, what sort of things are you monitoring as you're going along? So if we look at these, are there other things that you're doing in addition? Is it a lot more complex than this?
Yeah, we do materials, plant and labour as well.
So is that like costs or costs and volumes that you're doing, or?
Yeah, the cost and volume. So we forecast and then we do a reconciliation as well to reassess sort of where we overspent, and then got to give reasons why we've overspent. So like on concrete or aggregates or asphalt for tarmac or things like that.
And do the prices fluctuate, or do they stay the same?
They fluctuate depending on a number of different things. So if you get night concrete deliveries, it's triple the cost in some cases.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
If the plant's to open specifically for you on a night shift, you get a big cost on that. So yeah, depending on how you program your works, days or nights, massively impacts your cost.
And then when you're securing the contracts to deliver them, have you set out in there whether it's going to be days or nights?
Yeah, that's kind of part of the pre-award stage where we discuss the working hours, the shift sort of type, whether it's nights or days.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, because that's, I suppose, from a supply point of view, obviously cost, the cost of materials and the cost of delivering the project is absolutely key. Thank you. That really, that's really insightful. Are there other things as well? Any other experiences, the sorts of things that you're including in here?
We measure safety and monitor that throughout the project. So there's different categories of how serious those safety incidents are. So you have like near misses, where there could have potentially been, a bad accident, but it was kind of, it was basically a near miss. And then you have like high hypo events. So they might be kind of really serious, like a plant, overturning or something actually happening. So yeah, we monitor safety events, and as a result share lessons learned to avoid those happening again. And we have targets both for the company and the project, I believe, as well. Yeah.
Yes. So in terms of that, then are there any repercussions in terms of any fines or anything like that, in like when they happen, or?
Again, I think it depends on the seriousness of them. Sometimes we may have to get the HSE involved, but I don't know for the near misses. We basically have to react, and we might have to change processes, pause certain works until we can make the work safer or mitigate the risk.
Yeah, they're really good. Thank you, both of those. Contribution, really interesting, because it's just different perspectives, isn't it? And this should be all tailored to the sorts of things that you're looking at in the area that you're looking at, which obviously, if you're not project specific, I know is going to be more challenging, but I think there will still be things that you can pick up on here. Has anyone else got any contributions in terms of the sorts of things?
I think these are kind of the the bare minimum of what we would expect, because we, on major projects within Highways England, we have a whole plethora of other KPIs that we have to achieve, including things like efficiency registers. We have submissions of making sure that we're creating efficiencies as we go, value management, and we have all of these little targets of things that we also have to achieve as well as kind of the core. And I think, as Chloe's just said, health and safety probably trumps all of these things. You've got health and safety, finance, and then probably kind of these underneath.
Yeah. So it's almost the detail. And who is it is it one person that is responsible for all monitoring, or is it depending on different roles within the project?
It's probably roles within the project. I know we have a quality manager, we have an efficiency manager, we have a risk manager, and they all have. So when we deliver a progress report to the client, we all have to input our own little bits into a ready-made template, and then that is then forwarded onto the client or delivered in a meeting.
Yeah. So it's not one person, because this is very oversimplified, isn't it? The project owner is required to create and manage this.
Yeah.
It's like this is not the sorts of this is not the complexity that we're talking about. Okay, so we've got a number of different things here that we could talk about in terms of monitoring relative to your area. And I think the thing with this is sort of going back to this whole sort of the different processes in terms of project managing. It's this idea that at each stage there will be outputs, and which ones are worth sort of that we need to monitor to ensure the next stage the inputs are working. So that's just, you don't need to use it, you just use the ones that you're the key ones that you're monitoring when you're talking about this. And these are just things that you could do you monitor along the way whether objectives are being met, or partly, or is that through, you know, how, I suppose is it more activities, or what sort of?
From an operational perspective, so we have the contract program, which is you kind of set an agreed plan, and then in my role I produce sort of a 3-week look ahead to show those activities broken down even further into like construction activities, and then I have to as-built that as well, so I have to kind of draw a red line through it as to what we've actually completed by which date, and that's kind of a process of recording and displaying what we've actually done against what we agreed to do.
And how long is that? How regularly is that information reported back?
Every week I do it. I do a 3-week look ahead every Friday, and then every Monday I as-built the previous week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, really good. And is that, who do you do it to? Is that internally and to?
Yeah, it goes to, well, the contract that we're on it's normally internally, but the type of contract that we're on now, the RDP framework, which some people from HE will know about, it's fairly collaborative, so everyone's kind of included on that submission. HE, our WSP, who's our HE's sort of technical assurance, so HE's consultants are involved. It's kind of like everyone on the project team from client to supplier level gets included on that.
Yeah, so it's got a wide audience in that as well. Okay, yeah, thank you. They're helpful. So these, in terms of like the project activity stages, these are the sorts of things that will be coming up, and it's just a case. So just consider when you're doing this, yeah, just what's relevant, the highest priority things that you're looking at, and actually that might, as you're saying, it sounds very much like it will also be driven by the mandate, the health and safety imperative, as well as they're you know, the sort of prioritization, but also what's going on in your role. So do you look at as well where the slippage is, that sort of thing, in terms of you know, how often are the Gantt charts updated?
I think we're very similar to Henry, so we use something called collaborative planning.
Right.
And what we do is we look at something called the plan percentage complete. So those kind of weekly updates, we're constantly, we'll have the meeting on the Monday, we feed back to the planning team on the Tuesday if there's any major changes. The planner will update the Gantt chart or whatever we're using. And then we have to let the client know that we're running at a 75% PPC. And
what does that mean?
So plan percentage complete. So that means we're delivering 75% of the work that we said we when instead of the 100. And we want to. I think Highways England's cap is 85%. So if you're under 85%, you have to have a remedial action plan for how you're going to get back over. So it's very tight. So we worked for a 12-week and a 4-week. So we have a huge 12-week look ahead that is spoken about on a monthly basis. Then the 4-week, which is very similar to Henry, it's the Friday and then the Monday. And it just hones people's minds. Once we've had that conversation, then the Tuesday, the programme's updated in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen.
It's useful to know for everyone else as well, isn't it? The sort of planning timescales and the effort that goes into sort of keeping up to date, and the frequency of communication as well. Okay, I'm just going to have a look here, because I imagine Tom is either with us or joining us very, very shortly. So what I'll do is, because I was going to say, I'll stop the recording now because that's a good time